Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the full board agenda of the Single Family Design Board. We are going to start with roll call.
Okay. Thank you. Here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi,
Yes.
and Board Member Grafidi,
Yes.
and Board Member Richards,
Yes.
and Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
And we have quorum. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Public comment. Any member of the public may speak and address the board for up to 2 minutes on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for a public discussion. Is there anyone that would like to speak?
I have not received any public comment slips. At this time, I just wanted to remind people that we do have speaker slips at the side of the room where the agendas are by the entrance door. We did not receive any correspondence for general public comment. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of May 4th. Full board agenda. I reviewed them and I had one comment, but let's just go through them because I may be the only one that just skip to the motion of each one. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. I had one correction on item 4 when you get to it. minor. On the first motion item, the board supports waiving the supplemental material. The board supports waiving the supplemental material. That was my only comment.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the minutes for the full board, single-family design board meeting minutes of May 4th.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
okay, Vice Chair Moslehi,
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
and Chair Scher.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting of May 4th. That was Board Member Rolfe. Lauren, do you have any comments on that?
I don't think so. Let me see. Yeah. It looks good to me.
Do you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting, or the consent minutes of May 4th, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Rolfe?
Do we have a seconder?
I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Board Member Rolfe?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Vice Chair Moslehi?
Yes.
Okay, Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
And Chair Scher.
Yes.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ratification of action taken on the consent calendar of May 18th.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Sherry. I'm just going to read off what was posted with the full board agenda today for consent. The first item, 617 Ferrara Way, was postponed 2 weeks, as was the second item, 216 La Vista Grande, that was also postponed 2 weeks. The third project, 967 Garcia, was granted project design and final approval with conditions, as well as with the next project at 512 La Marina Drive. And those are the motions made.
I'll make a motion for ratification of the consent calendar for May 18th.
I'll second that.
Okay, here we go. We have Chair Sherry.
Yes.
Okay. And we have Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
and Board Member Richards.
Yes.
And motion passes. Thank you.
All right, and no announcements.
Staff has no announcements at this time. Thank you.
All right. Can we move on? We're 8 minutes, no, we're just a couple minutes before 3:10, so can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
we'll move on to item 1, which is 926 East Ortega Street. This is a proposal for a new 2,421 square foot two-story home and demolition of the existing residence. The project will abate ENF 2024-00563, new trash enclosure, patios, fencing, gates, landscaping, and trees are also proposed. The project also seeks to permit as-built site improvements, including a perimeter wood fence, outdoor kitchen, relocated fireplace, and driveway gate. Proposal to remove 4 cypress trees and banana plants, 6 olives, 2 citrus, 4 king palms are proposed, along with shrubs and grass. The total proposed 2,421 square feet on a 5,035 square foot lot is 99% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. The ADU is not under the purview of this board. Project design approval is requested, and NPO findings are required, and the project was last heard on April 20th. Is somebody here for that agenda item? I guess I shouldn't have read it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and, let's see, we don't have the next item till 3:35. Let me see if I can contact the applicant, and I will be right back. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just take a brief adjournment. Yeah.
We can start in item 15.
You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, 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 oh.
break, everybody. Let's see, 3:35. I think we got to wait an extra 5 minutes, but the applicant will not be able to make item 1, so we'll have to postpone it indefinitely. And yeah, the applicant did not realize they were scheduled today, and they're all the way in Ventura and cannot make it. So we'll be pushing them to sometime in June.
Can we start item 2?
We have to wait another about
3
five,
minutes?
yeah, another 3 minutes to start 15 minutes before.
Okay. On to item 2, so will applicant to item 2 please approach the podium? Or
Great.
the desk, please. I want to make sure everybody's here now before we read the
Yes,
item.
yes. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and read the project description and the scope, or into the record. Yeah, so item 2, 3029 C clip. This is a new item here for conceptual review. Proposal to demolish the existing home and accessory structure for a new split level 6,493 square foot, 2-story single-family residence with an attached 2-car garage. New driveways, retaining walls, pool, patio, and landscaping are proposed. A new 1,142 square foot single-story detached accessory dwelling unit is proposed and is not under purview of the board. A coastal development permit is required for the proposed accessory dwelling unit. The 836 square foot garage attached to the ADU is under purview of the board since it serves the main residence. The detached garage exceeds 750 square feet and requires a floor area modification for relief from the accessory building standards in SBMC 28.97.160. The total proposed 7,329 square feet on a 55,914 square foot lot is 143% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. Project design approval is requested. Neighborhood preservation findings are required. And, or, no, that is incorrect. Apologies for that. The footer should read that no final appealable decision will be taking place at this hearing today. The staff hearing officer requests comments for project design supportability for floor area modification. Neighborhood preservation findings, hillside design district, and slope lot findings and grading findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval. I'll go ahead and update this slide now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Okay.
apologies
Oh,
for
we
the
have the
interruption.
planner here.
Yeah, correct. I think we have some staff
Say
comments.
something.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Aaron Stolberg, case planner. As Sebastian stated, the project is incomplete, and it will be eventually scheduled for a staff hearing officer hearing. We're specifically looking for comments on massing and the incorporation of the structure within the hillside. And that is all. Thank you.
Okay, your name for the record.
Tom Oxner, architect, and this is Liz Hughes, architect.
Okay. And I also wanted to clarify that the modification that we're requesting as part of this application is a modification to exceed 750 square feet of garage space. There's a second detached garage provided as part of parking for the ADU, required parking for the ADU. So I'm going to speed forward to describe the existing property a little bit. Where is our survey? Okay, so the existing property has a 2-story residence on it, which is at the edge of a hillside here. The first floor opens up to a carport, detached garage, and motor court. And then there's a lower floor as the hill drops off gradually. There are 2 existing accessory structures on the property. A detached shed, which is in between the garage and this other accessory structure, which is, I think, just a little, it's not technically a guest house. It's just kind of a 1-room accessory structure here on the side. The property is kind of a flag lot, so it doesn't have any street frontage. You actually drive through this narrow section of the site to get to this this motor court here. And so it's set back from the street. It's not something that you can see from Sea Cliff, and is kind of nestled in there in between Sea Cliff and Braemar Drive. Sea Cliff is a cul-de-sac, and so it's kind of at the very end of that cul-de-sac. Then our proposed demolition plan, we're proposing to demolish all of the existing buildings on the site. There are a few specimen trees that we are retaining, particularly close to the ADU. There's a sycamore tree that we're protecting. And then there's also a grove of avocado trees that's around the drive court area, which we're also protecting as part of this application. The owner really wanted to maintain the existing character of the site with the coastal shrubs along the hillside area, as well as a lot of the existing avocado trees that are around the site, and then enhance with natural coastal landscaping. There are some trees around the building footprint which are being removed, mostly just avocado and non-specimen trees around the proposed residence. I'm going to go to, I have this exhibit that we prepared of the site overlay to compare the existing and proposed building footprints. The existing building extends closer to the property line than what's allowed under the current zoning. And so the proposed building is being pushed back to maintain the required 15-foot setback from the southerly property line. You can see along the east side, we're trying to maintain as much as we can where that existing building envelope is. And then what pushes out past that is patios at grade, as well as a deck for the upper level. The garage that's attached to the proposed residence is in much the same location as the existing garage, as well as the motor court. So a lot of that is being maintained in its existing location, but the configuration is changing slightly. The finished floor elevation of the existing residence is very similar to the proposed, as well as the lower level. So kind of replicating that existing massing and then expanding where we have the opportunity to the north and the east where the grade isn't as steep. Then we have another detached structure, and that would be the detached garage for the ADU parking. The ADU is located, well, the property itself is located far from the street. And so it was really important to be able to provide parking on site while also maintaining fire access. So that's why this detached garage is being provided for the ADU. The ADU is a 1,200 square foot, I guess, gross ADU. And I think it's 1,140-ish square feet net, kind of in the same location as the existing accessory structure. There's also an access easement along that, the west side of the property that's 25 feet. And so we're maintaining that distance from the easement area to provide access into that proposed garage as well. And then the rest of the area will kind of stay similar to how it is now, while also providing a turnaround area for the fire department. And then I'm going to go into the existing photos here.
Tom Oxner here. I'll go through the photos with you. The upper left really is kind of the signature of this house in terms of where you can see it from the community and why the current owners fell in love with the property. So the house is situated out on right where the slope starts to drop off. And when they purchased it, they talked to us, and we were very clear with how the hillside is protected in our community, and we wanted to preserve the lines of what respect very closely the lines of that building, and if anything, improve on it, not really taking away from the natural setting. So those two palm trees there are interesting because you can get a better feel on this site as these drone shots as we move through, and you use those two palm trees as kind of a guide. Off to the right, this illustration is looking towards Arroyo Burro. You can see our building right there with those palm trees, and it kind of gives you an idea of how it relates to the slope below it. And this is right down, so the driveway comes in from the west there, and you can see it moves. There's the carport and the structure, and that starts to give you a good idea. If we go just below that, this is really kind of a bird's eye of the view that they love, and that's the corner of the building. We're pulling the building towards us and really maintaining the building line. And the topography, if we go back, shows that there is a shallower area that extends to that left palm tree there before it starts rolling down. We also have a conceptual landscape plan here that we can get into towards the end. But yeah, this one in the center here is really good. So the proposed house maintains the finished floor of the upper level. I think it's slightly higher, about a foot higher because of drainage up there. And then the understory pretty much falls right into place with where the existing understory is. And then we have the decks that will push out towards us in that photo. And then these are, let's see, that photo there shows an aerial of the accessory structure. And this aerial looks at, there's an ADU under construction to the south right there. And then this is a good one. You can see those palm trees, and it kind of falls off to the right. These are the existing structure. This is entering from the west. You can see the detached garage and the carport and the main house straight ahead of you. And then this one looks back up. You can see the drainage situation here. The driveway comes down steep, so we're looking to bump that up 1 foot to deal with a number of issues. And let's see here, we can come, okay, the photo, yeah, this photo 7 is good. That elevation there represents the understory proposed elevation. So that's that's one of those palm trees that you can see. That's the one closest in to the hill. But it's a dynamic site, so it takes a little bit of photos to give you a feel of it. And then, of course, 10 is the view that we're looking to really maintain. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for the existing photos.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have a photo simulation of the existing and proposed from that view down at the parking lot. So it's kind of hard to see from far away, so I'm just we have a closer up version of the same view. So the existing building on both the east and the south facing sides has a gable end. The existing building is kind of like a white cream color, so it is fairly noticeable from the street as you're driving. And so what we were trying to do was to propose a more neutral palette. Also, the roof in the center of the building what is proposed to be a hip roof, so it kind of comes down towards the exterior. And we also have where the covered deck comes off of that flat roof, so that we're kind of gradually breaking down the massing as we move to the exterior of the building to reduce the apparent mass of that as you look at the building from further away. So here's that zoomed in view of the existing, and you can kind of see how that white color is really standing out quite a bit. And then a more neutral palette with stone and kind of a more like a warm gray or like a taupe colored stucco, along with the hip roof, was meaning to reduce the apparent massing of that proposed structure. So what we are doing is we're maintaining very close this exterior wall location where the building comes out the farthest. We're actually pushing farther away from where this portion of the building is sticking out closer to the property line. We're pulling that all back. So this line here is the proposed, which comes out about 2 feet past where the existing is, and then we have our covered deck area beyond that. And then we'll go into back to our set here. We have a conceptual landscape plan. We don't have much time to go over it, so I'll leave it, most of this for questions. But what we have on the lower level is we have a pool, and then a lot of this is just the native coastal sage scrub area, some proposed planting along the side of the building here. And then I just want to make sure we have time to cover the rest of the building design. So the building design is kind of a contemporary ranch style with a standing seam roof, plaster, and stone for the exterior materials. And we have some site sections here where you can see as you enter the motor court, you're presented with a one-story structure. As it goes further down the hill, it becomes more of a two-story. Our ADU and garage area, we have sections through down here. And the idea for the ADU is to step down with the landscape so that it really reduces the height and massing of that portion of the building. We actually looked at a two-story structure here, but because of the way it sat on the site, it just made sense to make it a one-story structure. It's more of existing. We can come back to that if you need to. Okay, then our proposed site plan and floor plans. First floor, our lower floor is hatched in below, so kind of towards the easterly side of the property. Our deck and our covered deck and patios, and then a pool and some landscaped areas on the lower level. So the pool down here, coming off of that. And then on our upper level where the hip roofs pop up slightly from that massing. Okay, and then here are our side elevations. This is the side that faces the beach, where we wanted to maintain that corner glass so that to keep the views past the edge of that hillside. And what we originally looked at was, reducing the FAR by maintaining 50% underneath, below grade, but because of this elevation being exposed and not necessarily wanting to drop that down any further to create more grading down in this hillside area, we were maintaining that lower floor elevation, and so it kind of worked with the site, those finished floor elevations, to leave it where it was, and then we ended up having a little bit higher of an FAR, because originally we were trying to bury part of that. Essentially, it's a partial basement under that lower level. So you can kind of see that on the side as well. And then our east elevation, which is facing out towards Cliff Drive and the hillside. And then I'm going to go to our 3D views. So here we have some 3D views. It's the view from the motor court, where you have that entry with the hip roof, our garage that's attached to the main residence. This is kind of looking towards, oh, I ran out of time, but.
Just keep going.
Yeah. And I'll go to the aerials here where you can kind of see some of these. And then nestling this ADU and garage into the hillside here, so that it's stepping down with the site. And then back to our photo simulation, and that concludes our presentation.
You know, why don't you, just because you spent such little time on the elevations, maybe just leave that rendering of the 4 elevations on the screen so we can absorb it as we're asking questions?
Yeah. This one.
Yeah.
Oh, this.
Yeah, that might be a good one. Okay, moving on to public comment.
Okay, I did receive a speaker slip for a Cy Lyon, and if he would like to make his way to our podium.
Hello? Hello? Hello. Hi. Yeah, my name's Cy Lyon. I live directly above this project. I see it every day. My big concern is the elevation, because that is my ocean view. And whether this height's going to exceed this existing height, it looks like it is to a degree. If Mr. Oshner would like to go over that with me, I'd be glad to. The big issue I'm after is why myself, my brother-in-law who lives next door, and my sister-in-law on the other side never got notified of this meeting. This is a very important meeting, and one of several coming along. So apparently somebody on project number 1 never got a meeting also, or notice. Didn't you say that? You talked to him, he said he never got notified. And
No, he's actually just was absent last week, so.
Oh.
But I believe with this item, it was noticed, so.
You might want to make sure staff has your correct mailing address.
yeah, I came down here a couple weeks ago and talked with a guy at the desk at the planning department there, and plan check and plan review, and gave him my address and said, make sure you send me everything attached to this project so I can keep an eye on it. You should understand it's my view.
You might want to do that
you know.
again. Talk to Sebastian and after
Yeah,
your presentation.
we'll connect
Okay.
and see what happened, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. Other than that, it looks pretty good. I'd just like to talk with the architect at off limit here and get the A-OK. It's going to be real close, so thank you.
Okay, oops. We're going to be going on to virtual public comment, and as I do not see any raised hands on Zoom, I'm going to turn that back over to, we did not receive any public written in correspondence. And with that, I'll turn that back over to Chair Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Board Member Gafridi?
Yeah, okay, we can start off with height. So I think you mentioned the finished floor of the second story is 1 foot higher than previously. Can you talk about to the top of the ridgeline and what the difference is there? I know it's different, right, because you're not just stacking in the exact same spot, but.
I did do a little diagram just in case I needed it, which is not part of the set, but at our highest point from the existing roof line is 5 feet 7 inches. That's what I
is high, 5 feet 7 inches higher than
higher.
the existing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's that hip roof that's in the center. So as you get to the exterior, it's essentially
Do you have
that same.
other than what you printed for yourself, can you show something on the screen? Because this was a question that the public had. Just illustrate somewhere on
Yeah.
one of these elevations, the difference between the existing height of the building and the proposed new height.
Okay. Yeah, so, the existing roof, the gable end that goes through the existing, is essentially at the plate height of the proposed. And then this roof here is what's coming beyond it. Obviously, we're looking at it in elevation though, so that's representing the high point of that roof.
Okay. A couple other questions. Do you have any photos from the lookout at Douglas Preserve to the house? Because I know a lot of them were from the parking lot
I think
at Boat
we
House.
do, but they're not in this.
You get, it's so, it's hard to see
Oh.
it. I mean, if you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
This house doesn't profile on the hill, so it has greenery around it, so it's a speck. But you can actually see it a little better coming down Cliff Drive.
Okay.
You get a bit of a shot of it there. And, we could include that, but yeah, it was the best view when we looked at Douglas Preserve, Ealing's, Cliff Drive, and Hendry's Aurora Borough. Hendry's Beach was the place that we noticed it really.
Okay.
And that's why we focused on that photo sim.
Okay. And then it looks like, I know part of it is kind of buried into the hillside because below the finished floor is, or it looks like there's 10 feet under. So is the overall height at the top peak and the bottom 27.6?
Yes, that's from basically this point at the edge of the building to the top of the roof is the 27.6.
Okay, and then can you go to the elevation that would show that from, I'm looking like the
This
west,
way.
I believe? Yeah, okay.
East,
The
yeah.
east. Okay, to see how wide that is. And do you know, are there other houses with similar conditions in this part? Like, we see this a lot on the Riviera where there's kind of stacked stories into the hillside. Are there similar conditions with heights like this into the hillside in this area of the mesa? Or I guess not the mesa, Sea Cliff.
We did do an FAR study of the nearest 20 homes.
Oh, okay.
But this is kind of a unique property because it's coming right up to where the hillside starts to slope down. So I'm not sure that there are necessarily that many a lot of the other houses that are 2-story the massing reads as a 2-story mass. So not necessarily as I think it was described as a split level, even though
Yeah.
it's not really. But it kind of reads as 1 story from the motor court and then reads as a 2-story from the other side. I don't know, this one may be the only other one across the street, 302 Seacliff, 3102 Seacliff, but I'm not sure. if
Okay.
that's- Oh, no, it does say 1 story, so I think most of the ones that are 2-story are just 2-story massing like this.
Okay. And then can you just I know it's just a conceptual and so just broad strokes of landscape plan. Can you just speak to really quickly kind of the intention?
Yes, Tom Oxner. We've got Sam Mavis, brought him out there, looked at the site. There's native manzanita that comes up to a certain point, and matches the topography where it's steep and it kind of flattens out, and that's where we put the edge of the pool. And so the idea there is to accent and to maintain that native vegetation, and then we took the edge of the pool and he broke it into 2 pieces with a spillway. And so we have around 7 feet from the water edge to the tallest wall, and then that wall is broken up into 2 pieces. And then he's proposing to really disguise that edge so that, you know, our goal here is so that this house is not perceived more than what it currently is. And he's got a good start at his imagery and his understanding of the native plants that come up that hill. But that's as far as we are right now.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Questions?
Okay, my first question is to the staff and to the neighbor that came. What's the address of the neighbor? Can you clarify? Is it 3002?
I think it was, thank you, 3056 Braemar Drive, I believe, was
Okay.
the public speaker's address. And the name is Cy Leon. Yeah, Mr. Leon.
3056.
Lyon, thank you, Mr. Lyon.
Thank you. And to the applicant, do you have an aerial image that shows maybe your vicinity map that shows the neighbor, how far they are, where are they
This
located?
particular, yeah, let me see
Yeah,
if it's.
where they
on
located to the house. I'm
across
trying
the
to find it
wash.
on Google
Yeah,
Earth.
right across the wash.
3054. Yeah, I know. I was looking at this and it looked like, is
So
this?
they're up here. So that's one of the reasons why we're holding the building at, their view is looking towards, my understanding is that that property has a view that looks similar to ours, and it looks down Arroyo Burrow. So if we maintain our building edge, then what's hanging out beyond our building would be the plane of the upper deck. And so that plane of the upper deck, the highest point, our building exceeds the existing building, but that's further back, and I don't think there's a view through that. I think the concern, and I can work with the neighbor, the concern is going to be the flat plane that extends out from the second floor out potentially
Okay.
into his view.
Yeah,
So
that was just I wanted to clarify for the next
that's
step.
my understanding
Yeah,
of it.
great. Thank you so much. My second question, if you go to a floor plan or site plan, in overall, how much we have expanded the proposed house to the east? Is it only the deck, and do we have a
So-
dimension there?
Yeah, so the existing footprint, the proposed footprint is about, let's call it 2.5 feet, because it's kind of at an angle here, but 2'9", 2.5 feet past where the existing building is. There's also a deck, an existing wooden deck on the upper level that comes off of that. And then our deck coming off of the existing building, not the deck, is 18 feet, 3 inches.
So if you go to a 3D or elevation, we see 18 feet expansion to the
Yes.
east.
Yes.
Okay. And then if you go to one of your axons that was showing the pool and the curved lawn that has the retaining wall. Thank you. I know the landscape plan are conceptual and maybe it's not shown in the 3D, but is there any screening of landscape proposed to cover the walls? And how
Yes.
tall they are maximum?
So there would be taller landscape screening along those proposed walls. We haven't developed it that far yet. What we were really looking for at this hearing was just a feedback on the mass bulk and scale before we get too far into developing the conceptual design. But yes, the idea would be to screen this area, and there's actually a lot of existing landscape screening already in that area, so it would be mostly just maintaining what's existing on site, and then, where it's being disturbed with construction, making sure that, that those areas get replanted with a coastal scrub.
Am I guessing correct, it's a 10 feet wall at the maximum?
It's not
Yeah,
10
okay,
feet.
okay.
I think it's more like 6 to 7 feet.
And my last question would be the existing house, not the accessory structures, the main house. What's the FAR of that, the existing house?
Of the existing?
Yes. Just want to
I
compare
don't know.
in general.
Let me see. I think I do have it on here, the existing. I'm not sure.
The existing house with garage is about 3,000 square feet, and then there's an accessory structure that I don't even know if it's, how big that is.
let's see. I wonder, did we just do the proposed on this? I can't.
That's fine.
I'm not sure
Okay.
if we did that.
I can compare the square footage. Okay, thank you.
Board Member Roth, questions?
Oh, yeah. I was just curious on your decision to put the pool location closer to the setback versus like mirroring the location with the circular deck. Can you talk about that, please?
The pool location, I think the idea was to be able to look out over the pool from that lower living area. As you're looking out towards the view, to have that pool in the foreground. And so that was the idea of keeping the pool closer towards that southerly property line rather than pushing it towards the north.
Okay, that makes sense. And I was also curious about your decision for the flat roof. And then, yeah, I know there's the hip roof in the center, but yeah, just the flat roof, if you could talk about that. Thanks.
Sure, yes. So the flat roof allows us to get more volume and not to extend volume up into the view. We originally looked at going with a flat roof structure. It maintains the height of the existing building. The owners really liked the ranch look, and they wanted to see a little bit of a low-pitched metal roof. So we pulled that portion of the roof back over the middle of the building, which brought it away from the edge of the slope where it would be more visible.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Board Member Richards, questions?
Sure. So the garage at the ADU, I just want to get a good understanding of, it's parking for 4 cars or,
It's not our purview.
oh, it's not, the garage?
Well, the garage
the-
maybe, yes.
The garage is part of your purview.
Oh,
The
that was one of my
ADU
questions.
itself is not.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
So yes, that's an interesting garage. They do have some cars that they treat as children. And so this is really a tandem 4-car garage, if you will.
Okay.
And that's the reason for its shape, yes.
Okay. And then, have you guys already started looking at railings for that part where the 7-foot drop off the landscape and off the pool?
We haven't. I think our intention would be to terrace the landscaping so that we would reduce the need for railings in that area. To kind of make it blend in with the surrounding topography as much as possible. I don't think there's a desire for putting railings at that lower level, so we'll have to look at that more closely.
Okay. I guess those are my questions.
All right. I had one question about the garage now that I'm clear on the modification. Can you go to the rendering of the ADU garage, the tandem garage, and what's the plate height of that garage? There's a well,
Let me just take a look at this. I think the plate height is 8 feet at the garage. I don't have it on here, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's 8 feet. It's pretty low.
and then just one quick look at the
Yeah.
the
And then,
rendering.
yeah, on the one side, it's kind of built into that retaining wall for the avocado orchard. So the grade comes up pretty high along this side. And then on the side where it connects to that existing access driveway, that's really how we located this building, was because we had to come off of that existing access easement. We're really coming off of where that elevation is right now.
And then the lower right rendering of page 25 shows that it's just you're kind of walking up to it on one side only, and then the other side you drive
Yeah,
out.
so, yeah, this is not intended to be a drive out here. This was really just in order to open up that side. We did receive a planning comment that because we don't have a driveway on this side, we're not allowed to have a door along this edge, but we could have a roll-up door that's 6 feet wide or 2 roll-up doors that are 6 feet wide, just to provide, I think they just want to be able to open up that side of the garage.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then one more question on the supporting the deck on the east. It looks like it's cantilevered facing the house. Yeah, on that, if you zoom in on that rendering that your cursor is at, it look like the upper level deck it's supported on one end and then the other end, but then the other side is cantilevered. That was intentional, right?
Yeah, this wall below.
No,
Pulling
the
back,
other
or-
side. Yeah,
Oh,
that
this
side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's cantilevered on that outside edge of that intentionally. Not where your cursor is, farther out. Like
Oh,
that.
here. Yeah.
That is intentional. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Comments? Board Member Graffiti.
Okay, we'll start us off. Well, first of all, thank you for all of the supplemental material and drone shots, and I feel like you knew that we were probably going to have questions about heights and images and viewpoints. That was really helpful to just kick the meeting off with that. Generally, I think it's a really beautiful project. I like the way a lot of it is cited. I actually think it's helpful to have the garage and the ADU separate. And I know the renderings and the colors of the materials might be a little different. I love that you guys are going to go with like a darker taupe, and I think that will help blend it more. And I like the direction that it sounds like the landscaping is going to go. The only thing I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around is just the heights and the overall scale of it. And in the rendering and elevations, I think it looks good the way you kind of tucked in the highest portion of the second story in the ridge line. And I think just looking at these images, size, bulk, scale, all of that, it's very thoughtfully done. I just want to make sure when I'm looking at it from different viewpoints, and I think part of that, I want to go do a drive-by and kind of look at different things, like how much does it really stick out with that overall height into the hillside. And for me, it would be helpful to have images if there are other houses like that and understanding kind of heights in the hillside. My biggest thing would just be preventing a large house with very high heights kind of having a looming element on the top of the hill. So I think, again, the materials will really help. There are definitely ways that you've brought in the second story central, and again, having kind of the ADU and the garage separate and tucked back. I think there's a lot of great ways that are kind of helping solve for that. I would just love to have a little bit more to feel really comfortable with, this kind of FAR and height, that it's not going to be too dominating on the hill.
Okay, Board Member.
Yeah, sure. I think overall, it's a great improvement to the existing house, especially like the existing house, the side that it's on the east, under the roof, it has this like solid white wall that I think, I've seen that maybe from the Douglas Fir Preserve. And I was like, it's not the best house that it's on that lot. The only comment that I have is mostly, and I understand that it's concept, on the east side elevation from, I think, yeah, we're on the east side. I looked into your set and I think I found the existing FAR at 61%, so we're literally like doubling the FAR. But because like the way that it's situated on the side, I don't think the general Balkan scale, it shows that it's doubled at all. The only comment is on the east side, especially the elevation that we are. I think like the deck, the flat roof above deck, it will feel a little bit heavy if it was like not a solid roof. Maybe it was a trellis. It would help that. I don't know if there was a study to like think that like the thickness of the fascia of that is the same as the deck. I don't know if it's narrower, but like that is the one thing that I think that it will show the Balkan scale become very heavier than the general house. And I'm not sure the plate height only at this view that we're looking at. I think it's the living room. Is that the only place that it's taller, or when it goes to the other side of the house, it's lower?
There and at the entry, so the entry roof comes up higher as well.
Which is not visible from the hillside.
Yeah.
That's the only side that it's. And how tall is the plate height of that living room? Sorry
I think
to
it's
ask questions.
12.6.
Okay. Yeah, I think like my only comment would be the east's elevation study, and I would like to see an image from the Douglas fir looking point. I think like that's where most of the people might see the house, and like unless at the Arroyo Beach you just look up, but I think from the Douglas fir is like where people stand for like long time and like look at the houses there, and there are some of the houses that are like disrupting and the hillside already because they were like built in different timings. So I think like for the next time, if you guys can have like a image of the existing house from that side and maybe do a quick photo scene from that side as well, that would be helpful because that's where we will see this east elevation.
I think that's it for me. Okay. Sounds good.
Board Member Roth, comments?
Yeah. So I really like what you've done. I like the consistent architectural language and the more the colors that blend in with the hillside. And I also like the like how the different forms kind of intersect each other. I like all of that. And then regarding some an additional feedback, I actually had the same thought as board member Moslahi, and I think where I'm seeing the mass is actually the second story trellis, and yeah, there. And so, but I see how it's like tied to the columns below in that architectural language. So I'm wondering if you could just kind of study that whole area, because obviously you'd want it to kind of feel consistent with the story below. And then another comment I had is on the other side of the building, I forget, it's just the front elevation. I was noticing that, yeah, I'd like to see, well, this is just for me personally, some kind of study the spacing of the windows with the fascia. For me personally, I like to see more breathing room with that fascia, and yeah, and the height of the windows, and then this is like a super minor thing, and maybe you have a different opinion. And I just saw that there's 2 different types of metals called out for the fascia and the downspout, so maybe they're the same, or anyways. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Board Member Richards, comments?
Yeah, my comment would largely be making sure that you guys study the stepping of the stone. Ending up with a 7-foot wall, I think, is going to be really eye-catching. And some of the images that you had where it was a couple tiers down, I think that's heading in the better direction between the 2 of those. The other comment that I had was there was that view of the garage and ADU, and all the garage doors have this very horizontal sort of glazing sort of aesthetic, and then all the doors are very vertical, and I think that they're kind of, hitting each other on that. Especially at that, yeah, if we go to the image, I think directly below this one, I think if you were to at least make that garage door, which it sounds like staff's already encouraging you to adjust that into maybe being a slider or something that could open all the way, I think it would keep a more consistent language with everything else that's going on site.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
All right. I just had one comment about the north elevation, and it's kind of back to a question of what's the separation material between the 2 floors, because that's a stacking wall. I forgot to ask that question.
I think,
It's a 2-story stacked wall.
yeah, on the north elevation, sorry,
If you can see it on the rendering. That,
the other one. This along here.
yeah.
Yeah, so it actually, I believe this wall on the first level is cantilevering out over the bottom level by, I think it might be a foot or 2 feet or something like that. And so the differentiation in the material is the same as the edge of that deck. So it would be like a metal fascia type material.
But if
the
it's
base.
cantilevered out a foot or two, what's the horizontal surface at the top?
Oh, you mean underneath or?
No, on the top.
There's no it's,
Oh, it's cantilevered above. So if you go to the upper left-hand rendering on page 25, that one, this one, it looked like that one. It looks like there's another line there. And if it's cantilevered, I would have thought you maybe would have continued the plaster down and then just brought it in, and it looks like there's an exposed beam or something in there. Like, what is that?
You're right, it looks kind of like a band that may not need to be there.
Looks like, yeah, just, that was my comment, it's
Yeah.
just, if it's cantilever, that's great, it'll provide a shadow line, and then it's just the treatment of that, that base, it looks like that band is below and up against the building on the lower level, and I'm not sure it needs to be there, so just might want to check that. So I had a question about, before somebody makes a motion, there's been some talk about, and this is a question for the board, Board Member Graffiti and Board Member Rolfe both brought up the study of the second-story patio cover. And so just to give direction to the applicant, what do you mean exactly by that?
It just feels bulky as it is, and that's what I noticed. That view from the beach. That's when I thought for the mast. I felt like the second-story trellis was contributing to the mast.
Oh, got it, okay.
Yeah.
This might be contributing or exacerbating the
Yeah.
massing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Does somebody want to make a motion? Whoever makes the motion needs to talk about supportability of the modification for the square footage of the garage being over 750 square feet. Anyone? Okay, I will try to craft a motion. The board appreciates the overall massing and scale of the project and the colors and the siding of the house. And on that same item, the board appreciates keeping the finished floors of the existing relatively similar, the existing and proposed relatively similar, if that makes sense. I was kind of disjointed, sorry about that. The second item would be for the applicant to study ways to decrease the second-story massing of the east elevation, particularly at the upper level covered patio, for ways to decrease that overall mass, or in some way provide views or other visual exhibits that would justify the massing as proposed. Continue to resolve the site wall heights at the pool and the circular yard area next to the pool, and provide screening, landscape screening. The board can support the board supports the modification for the square footage of the garage being over the 750 square feet because the square footage is broken into two separate buildings, and the board understands the desire of the applicant to the board understands the applicant's design of a tandem garage at the ADU, and feels that since it is being nestled into the site along the south elevation next to the avocado grove, that its massing appears to be supportable. Continue to resolve all of the doors and windows and header placements, including the detailing at the north elevation between the two floors at the cantilever. And that is my motion.
I'd like to second the motion, but I'd ask the maker of the motion if there's one additional item that could be added.
Maybe.
Which is for the applicant to provide imagery of the existing residence along with transposed residents from any other high-traffic public viewpoint, such as Douglas Preserve, or if there's any areas on Cliff Drive, just so we can kind of see that. Just like how you did from the parking lot, that's perfect.
The additional item would be
For the applicant
to provide a photo simulation of the proposed development as seen from the Douglas Preserve and other public views such as from Cliff Drive.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yes. That's why I repeated it.
Great.
Okay. All right.
And Chair Sherry, if you could clarify whether or not you are continuing this to the staff hearing officer with the following comments. I don't think you made a.
Yeah, I think that, oh yeah, I didn't make the motion. This would be a indefinite continuance to the staff hearing officer with the following comments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Chair Sherry?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Rowe?
Yes.
Board Member Richards?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Mosley?
Yes.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Nice project.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, we're 15 minutes behind. Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah, we are. Oh, it says 4 o'clock. Yeah, we're 15 minutes behind. So applicant for item 3, come on down. And this is a new item for 1981 Eucalyptus Hill Road. This is a project proposed to abate violation 2026-00093 and permanent as-built patio expansion, retaining walls and lower story 117 square foot gym addition. Proposal to permit an as-built 22 square foot elevator shaft and a 24 square foot addition. Replace siding, windows, doors, garage door, roofing, guardrails. The eastern existing wood deck is proposed to be lowered. A new driveway is proposed. New landscaping is proposed. The proposed total, 1,778 square feet on a 15,302 square foot lot, is 41% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. No appealable action will be taken. MPO findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval. Your names for the record.
Hi, my name's Brian Miller. I'm the agent for the client.
Robert Richards, landscape architect.
And I just wanted to make some staff comments. Sebastian Herrick. I'm the assistant planner and I'm the assigned case planner to this project. This project is still currently under review, and so this is the first time it's being heard, and we're just looking for broad overall comments on some of the permitting of the as-built work. I'll leave it to the applicant to describe what areas are already existing and what others are being proposed. The landscape plans that are going to be looked at today have not been reviewed by staff yet, so just looking to get broad feedback on that and supportability of tree placements and species and what have you, and looking forward to your comments. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, okay, so, yeah, this is an enforcement case. Couple of comments that I think it's a little confusing, and maybe you can help me, is it's not a new driveway, it's a replaced driveway. It's an existing driveway, and we're replacing it with permeable pavers. So just a little clarification with that in regards to that. So. You're not up on the screen. Yeah, I'm not on the screen. How do I get on the screen?
You should be able to have control.
There we are. So let's go. So this is the general site plan. Another comment I want to make is it's an interior, well, it's a lot on the side of a slope, and it's heavily vegetated, so there's no visual impact whatsoever from the street, from Eucalyptus Hill. You can't see the house because it goes up a rather steep driveway, so the house is kind of nestled inside that little area there. There's a house over here, and you can't even see that house either, as it's completely surrounded with vegetation. So I just want to bring up the point that the visual impact of the house is, there is no public views. So these are the basic interior changes that that were made, that are being used, are done. It's a little more efficient flow of the floor plan. There is no added square footage to the existing footprint of the house. The only changes are going to be in the exterior, where there's a retaining wall right here and a retaining wall here. That's to add a little platform off to these rooms to give them a little area outside of the rooms as a terrace, whereas before it was really kind of clumsy how it was situated. These are mostly, but here's up here you can see pretty much what the existing house looked like. These two windows in the center kind of popped out. And so what the client did was added two windows to the side to kind of take advantage of the view. Gives it a far bigger impact of the room. Pretty much upgrade the railing. The siding will be replaced. It's kind of shabby. It's a board and bat siding, hardy panels. And he proposes to paint the house basically a white with a black trim, which is very popular these days. This is the west elevation, and you pretty much can see that what's happening is the doors are getting upgraded, the siding will be upgraded, and then this is where a elevator will be put right here that stops to the second level of where the front door will be. And then the front landscaping will be improved, and our landscape architect will go over that. And you can see here the existing north elevation, and then this is the new elevation. He's eliminating the sliding doors and putting in these windows. Kind of makes a nice flow for the interior of the rooms, for a bed wall. And then this is the other side where you can see this deck has a very awkward feel to it in the existing condition where it kind of popped up. And so he's leveling the deck, gives it a much more cleaner feel. And it had an odd way of the kitchen was back here. So he stepped up the kitchen so you had a nice view of a slopey roof. So he's leveled the floor in the main part of the house so that the kitchen takes advantages of the ocean views that are off to the side. And then this is the platform here that we're adding to this bedroom up here with a nice French door element. And then this is a better elevation showing the elevator piece going right here. And then this is the proposed elevations here with the better windows, upgraded siding, roofing. And that's as far as the architecture. Richard, you want to talk about the landscape?
Sure. So, as Brian was describing, the site is
largely screened with existing vegetation. This is also in the high fire area, so just want to note that I came in here with a 0 zone that's required for the fire safety, so we're not having any proposed planting within that space. As you come up the existing driveway, we're proposing to cut at kind of where the grade transitions at the asphalt to have a new permeable paver driveway. This is going to be a permeable cobble that has concrete banding around the outside and on the interior of it. Then we've brought in the theme for this is kind of like a Mediterranean San Ysidro ranch style landscape that fits within the high fire standards. So we're proposing a few olive trees here that, we got 3 olive trees that come around the driveway, and then there will be new ground level landscape. This clouded area represents the existing landscaping there. The entry of the house is up an existing flagstone stepway that comes up through here. Then the deck at the once you've come up the steps, it's going to be enlarged to kind of create a greeting area at the entry to the home. There is flagstone pathways on both sides of the house that are being kind of cleaned up and reconfigured. And then up here on the east side of the house, we wanted to propose like a level area for a family to like have a dog to go to the bathroom or hang out and look out over the beautiful view. So we're proposing like a small retaining wall that's kind of cut into the hill here that gives us a leveled space that captures the view out towards this area. Behind that is a proposal for an arbutus tree. All of this flagstone area is existing on the back side of the house, as is the existing decking. These patio spaces that Brian was describing that are on the east and west sides of the house are new, so that's it's a new as-built feature that currently exists. So there's a wall that comes around this area, and it's going to have cable rail, and then the idea is that this kind of gives you access into these spaces, and if somebody wanted to put furniture out here, they would have the option to do that. As far as a landscape planting palette, like I was describing, is kind of a Mediterranean style. Then I've got 3 different planting areas identified. So we got the Mediterranean planting areas, kind of this A area, which is most of it. Then we got slope planting for where we're bringing this terrace in, and then there's an existing oak tree, so we have some native oak style planting. So it's mostly trying to work with kind of the existing bones of this house and kind of planting up the edges of it and cleaning up some of the flagstone and making a usable space on the side of it. So.
Yeah, I actually wanted to go to the photographs and see if we could,
Yeah, this is a breakdown of the high fire areas.
we have photos, don't we? So they kind of an idea of what
Yeah, through the chair to the applicant, if you want to go into the plan set, it might be tacked on as the last few pages on the first tab.
Where's the tabs?
Go over here.
This one?
On the top
that one.
there.
Yep, and
It
then.
looks like you got extra sheets going down.
Yeah, you might have extra sheets. I think I attached them
Oh,
at
there
the
we go.
end of the plan
So
set. Yep.
this kind of gives you an idea of this is the driveway. So you can't even see the house. And this is looking down Eucalyptus Hill Road, looking this direction. And then this is looking up. And then there's the house right there. So it's pretty well nestled and then this is looking from the house down to the road. And then this is the basic area of the house itself. But you can see it really is hidden in a large forest of trees, shrubbery, and then this is the house itself. So I thought I wanted to kind of show you what the neighborhood looks like. That's my presentation.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to public comment.
Okay, and I did not receive any speaker slips for this particular item, and checking Zoom, I do not see any raised hands for this item, and we did not receive any public correspondence. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Questions, Board Member Richards?
Sure. Can we just go back to the floor plans? I'm trying to understand. The elevator, is that more of like a lift from the parking court up to the main level?
Yes, it's just a lift that goes right up to, from the parking level to the main driveway, the main porch of the entry of the house. I think that's to accommodate someone possibly with ambulatory issues coming out of a car into the garage. They could go right in the elevator. So that was a feature that the client wanted to add to this house.
Okay, perfect. I was
Can-
just trying to understand that.
Can you, while we're on that,
Yeah.
can you just show us a photograph of that?
Photograph of the elevator?
Yeah.
Let's see, you want to see the photograph of the, okay, let's see.
Is it built? It's in the lower left there.
If you look on the lower left, it's kind of there. It's,
Can you zoom in on it, please? It's just
Sure.
super small. Zoom in. It used to be touchscreen, but it's not anymore.
So it's partially under construction here.
Oh, right there. Okay.
So
And then
that's going to be a tower.
maybe
there.
can we see it on the elevations too then? Sorry, I'm tagging on to your question.
No, it's fine.
Is that it right there, Brian?
Yeah, that's it.
so it's going to be
Okay, I see it.
covered in stucco.
Go ahead.
And then, I guess my other question, if we go through the elevations, there was one window I was trying to understand. It looked like it was tucked up in the eave, but
Tucked up under.
not that one. Oh, that, oop, yeah.
This one?
No, the little long,
This one?
So that one. Oh, so that's the proposed north elevation.
the one in the middle.
Oh, this one.
No, yeah, that one. What's up with that?
It's a little bathroom window, and you're seeing the eave coming down, so it's kind of halfway covered. So it's a little, like, I'm going to assume there's a shower on the other side, but that's just, when you see an eave. and it's-
Okay, it's just clipping it graphically?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty large eave. So,
Is that an as-built window?
no, it was a big window. It was, well, you can kind of see, it used to be a larger window. It's actually, would have still been clipped off, but it's been a reduced window, so it's a narrower window. And it's in the back, so no one sees it.
Continue with questions, Board Member
yeah.
Richards?
And then that concludes my questions.
Okay, Board Member Ruff?
Yeah, there's the window right there. Okay, so it is not clipped in this existing.
Oh, good.
That's interesting.
Huh,
I'm going to say that's a drafting error.
okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the siding and the roofing it's like similar, right? It's just a different, for the siding, it's just gonna be a white, and
Yeah.
before that, was it like a cream or what?
What was the color originally?
More like green.
Green?
Oh, green.
Okay.
Very nice green.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Board Member Mosley.
Interesting.
Now that we're on this, so it appears that the existing north elevation, like if you go back to the sheet that you were on. Next one, yeah. So there's two large sliding doors. Those are replaced, so because we're seeing the as-built and that above is the existing, both of them are north elevation, it's kind of, so they are changing.
Yes.
Okay.
They're already changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it already
okay,
changed.
it's as-built, okay. And if you go to elevation or one of those images that shows the elevator and there's that, I think there's the chimney, is that?
Yes, there's
Is
a
that the
large
chimney?
chimney next to it.
And
yes.
is it proposed to be siding?
Yes, it would all be sided too. Yeah, it's existing.
What's that band all around it in different elevation? Is it like a batten, like that wraps, like?
Yes, it's a bat wrap.
Like, okay.
But what are you looking at when you say
Yeah,
that?
in different like elevation, it's just like, it has like a
This thing
frame
right
all
here?
around. No, the chimney. So this, it has like, it's framed and then again on
The west, she's talking about the west
The west
elevation. There's
mostly.
a frame around the
Around.
entire
This
board
thing?
and batten,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, that's like an edge molding.
Okay,
It's like a
I
bat.
see,
That's the
yeah.
bat of the board and bat.
Yeah, and on the images, I saw some like lower walls that are CMU. Are they supposed to be exposed?
They will be covered in stucco, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no exposed SCMUs.
And are these exterior lights that are on elevations? I'm not seeing any like products selected here, but
Yeah, we need to provide a color
Okay.
board and a light.
and what's the color of the roofing? I saw that it's shingle asphalt, but is there a color proposed?
I think it's matching existing. I can.
Similar?
So, I don't-
Okay.
Yeah, it's a similar color. Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. I think for now, these are my questions.
Board Member Graffiti.
Okay, so that was a question you might have just answered. Do you have a materials board?
Not yet.
Okay, and then I guess maybe we'll just zoom in on some photos. So from the street, just if you could go to photo number 4.
Can you do the Zoom for me, please?
Yeah.
I just am trying to get a sense of if you did a quick drive-by, what's the view?
Why am I was able to do it earlier. I don't know why I can't zoom in here.
Oh, down there. There we go. So, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. There you go. Number
So
4.
what, okay, so gotcha, from coming in, do you have one driving it a little bit further to see like the front shot of
That's
it?
looking the other direction.
That's looking down the driveway.
Oh, that's looking down the drive, oh,
That's the
no.
neighbor's driveway.
You can see the.
Oh,
should be
okay.
In the distance there.
That's that driveway.
Okay, but okay, so number 4 is not even, okay. And then can you scroll to the bottom page just so I can look again at the elevator? So is this is a photo of what it currently is,
Yeah.
stopped in construction? Okay, gotcha. There we go. But that chimney, so it's the elevator on the lower portion and the chimney on the top portion, which is existing.
Right.
Okay, got it. I don't have any other questions.
Why is the window, go back to the corner view where the window on the front of the gable meets the side window. You were just zoomed in on that photograph.
Oh, you want?
The photograph of the corner of the living room window, that lower left corner
11.
window.
Picture number 11.
Yeah. Zoom in on that window, that corner. And my question is why, like, that looks like an awning window that just goes to the floor, and then for some reason you just decided to pop up to a different height window on the other elevation? See how they don't line up?
yeah.
Yeah.
You're asking why it doesn't line up right
No,
now?
not there, down
At the
below.
bottom, at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Oh, that's a vent on the bottom.
At least, see.
I guess that's the floor, and then the window facing front doesn't go to the floor.
Correct.
Okay. And where's the 24 square foot addition?
Okay.
You didn't go over that, I don't think, in
Yeah,
your presentation.
let's see. Let's see if I can do it in the photographs.
Yeah, photograph it, that would be really helpful.
It's right next to the garage. Okay. Sorry.
You're all good.
Okay, asking a question. Why don't I have I don't have a photograph of it, so let's see. Let me see if I can. So it's right over here. So here's the platform. It's right underneath this, and it goes right into this area right here.
So I guess since you don't have a photo, can we see it on the elevations?
Yes.
It's underneath the deck space.
There it is. That's the door into it,
Okay, okay.
right there. And so off there, it's right here.
It's right under there, okay. And where's the gym addition? That's a
That's it.
separate line item. It says, very distinctly, a 24 square foot addition and a 117 square foot gym addition.
Well, it's a converted, it's a what's the word I want to use? Non-conditioned space made into conditioned space, so it's a crawl space.
So it's the lower level 117 square feet
Used to be a crawl space.
and the 24 square feet is new footprint under the existing deck.
I think that what that's trying to explain is you go under the crawl space and then it popped up a little bit underneath and then there was ground, and so we're leveling all that ground,
I get it.
but it's all under the garage.
Okay. And you have a horizontal and a vertical rail proposed. I saw a vertical railing proposed somewhere, not on these two elevations, but it must be on the other two elevations. And I was wondering why there were two different, or maybe you just were taking the
Maybe it was
vertical,
existing.
and then and now you're doing all
Oh,
horizontal.
there, here we go. You're talking about this here. It's existing.
Because you're calling it an as-built south elevation, and that's a vertical rail.
Yeah,
So are you keeping that vertical rail and doing the rest of them horizontal?
I think that was your approach. Is that what you wanted to do?
And what do they look like? What are they made out of?
Well, this would be cable railed, and then the existing railing here, I would have to refer
Can we
to.
just see it in photos? Because I think you have a photo of it.
You know, that deck is getting pushed out right there, so we're gonna have to replace the railing.
But there's, oh, God, it's right there. Pretty traditional pickets. Where is it?
And there's a platform that didn't have a railing that looks like it needed a railing. You called it the platform.
There will be railings around
Yeah, well,
both
that
of
would
those
be a
areas.
plan check.
I think that's a drafting error. It was on the elevations. I think you're missing a railing.
Okay,
They require railings for
Yeah.
safety.
for sure.
Okay, and that's it. Okay, so comments. Board Member Maslahi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
There's railing, yeah. You're right.
Okay. I think in general, I mean, like, it's an as-built condition, and we have to remove enforcement, but it's like upgrading the house, going right way, but we need to like see the material board, as was mentioned, and I think one of the other thing is like the exterior lighting, what it's shown on the elevation, I don't think it's like a good representation of the style of the house that is proposed. It looks like very classical, but I'm sure you guys will pick a product that both is downlight, skylight compliance, and match the style of the house. And what else? I think the railing, just to be cohesive all around. I don't think the existing railing that it's on the as-built elevation, that like the one that Chair Sherry was mentioning, that's like very traditional, doesn't fit the style that you guys are proposing. And you mentioned the CMU walls have like a finish, but on the elevation, we're seeing them exposed. So I know that there's no public view, but for being like the house being cohesive, we want to see that finish
course.
to just blends in to the
Yes,
house.
Absolutely.
And there are two, like there's a color for the board and batten, and there's a color for the plaster that are named in that exterior material legend. I mean, you'll have a material board, but it's
We'll provide
important for
the-
us to see the different whites.
Yes,
And of course, the roof material.
yes.
And I don't think, like, I was looking on Google Earth, there's no public view, but I think the most impacted neighbors are, I'm not sure their addresses are on the same street, 182 and 186, maybe they're street above, but those are the people who will, like, see the house. And for our, just like, good neighbor guidelines, if the owner has not talked and reached out to them, or make sure that they have been notified so they're aware of the upgrades that are proposed. So just like encouraging you guys just to reach out to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board Member Ruff, comments?
So I appreciate how. So I appreciate how the as-built improvements you've done are in line with the style of the existing house. And just a few small comments. Board Member Moslahi, I would like the guardrails to be consistent. I mean, that's my personal opinion, that they should be consistent. And one comment I have is that the elevator shaft does feel massive, but at the same time, it's not really seen from public views. So I think it's okay that it's that it feels that way because it's not viewed from the street.
I also think there
Yeah.
should be creative landscaping as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
It helps.
Yeah, and yeah, I was gonna.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I apologize, but these are design elements that the client hired an interior designer to do that kind of shows you the look and feel of what the interior would,
Yeah.
what they want to achieve. So it's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah, I saw that. I was really impressed with
Yeah.
the way the interiors feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same sort of comment about the as-built retaining wall. It does feel a little massive, but this, you can't see it from the public, so I think that's okay. And then on the north elevation, I think someone else had already said this, that the high window just needs to, it would be nice for it to line up with the headers of the adjacent windows. And yeah, that's all my feedback. I think the improvements feel cohesive, so. Thank
Board
you.
Member Ruff, Richards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what my comments are already been said by most of the board members. I do think that chimney element could go to plaster. It feels a little funny how it abuts the elevator or the lift, and is still board and batten. There's kind of an inconsistency of, site walls, some with stone, some without, some with plaster. It'd just might be nice to give that a little bit more weight. But that's my only other comment from everybody else's.
Board Member Graffitti.
Yeah, again, I agree with I agree with everything that's been said. The only thing I'll kind of emphasize again is, and I know we talked about this house not being super publicly visible, definitely if you have a view out though, somewhere, down the streets, there is a view up at the house. And we do have a finding, as you know, just having materials be natural and blend with the hillside. So I would just encourage, I know with the white-black look, there's a tendency to do like a very cold, bright white with the black trim, but would encourage you to come to the board with a warmer white because we do have to make that finding. And that is all.
Okay.
I'll add.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't really see the house from anywhere. I mean, if this were a new project, I would make a suggestion that those windows line up at the corner, but they don't. So that's something that would really bug me, but it sounds like it's not going to bug anybody, so nobody's going to see it except the owners. So I'll let that one go. I think that if I can just help speed up the meeting, I would make a motion for an indefinite continuance back, well, let's see.
Can I make a quick comment on follow-up of what Christopher said about the chimney? As opposed to the chimney being plaster, what about the elevator being wrapped in
I could see that. I could see that
something like
working
that.
too, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, actually,
Yeah.
because that was one comment I thought that, can you go to that, sorry, I'm going to stop my motion and go back to the elevator shaft, elevation of the elevator shaft, which is where there's a lot going on with different walls and oh, it's really massive.
There you
Okay.
can see it.
I'm going to
Oh, here we go. See, he did have
I'm
it
going to
stuck
go
over.
back to, like, comments. If that's all right. Sorry, I'm digressing. I think that, that platform lift could be less massive. And it's not done yet, so there's an opportunity there to either provide the board and batten siding on it, screen it, in some ways improve upon the massing, because it's like a large block, and it's the first thing you see when you come up to the house. So since it's not done,
Sure.
I think that it would be a vast improvement to do something. So I'll, back to the motion, this would be an indefinite continuance. And how does the board feel about it going to consent with enough comments? So this would be an indefinite continuance to the consent agenda with the following comments: that the applicant return with a cohesive railing design and detailing. The board looks forward to all additional architectural detailing and a color and finish schedule, including dark sky compliant light fixtures, colors, and all materials. Correct the window header on the north elevation that appears to be higher than the rest of the windows, and the headers along that elevation should all be aligned. Is that the north elevation?
Yep. There is actually an exterior material legend, but it doesn't show colors, so.
Okay, so I'll just keep that comment.
Sure.
And then the last comment would be to provide screening and/or board and batten siding and ways to reduce the overall massing of the platform lift at the front of the driveway, so that the elevator platform lift
Minimizes.
takes on a supporting role instead of
Minimize visual
in terms of
impact.
massing.
Sorry.
Were you going to say something?
Minimize a visual impact.
Minimize the visual impact, yes, of the platform lift. Okay. Okay.
I will second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
Oh, I was just wondering, Don, if any other board members feel that the as-built retaining wall on the east elevation also feels bulky to you? I think it's this one.
This one right here?
Yeah. Or not as
Well,
much.
I think that's a little hard to deceptive, because when you actually look at the existing situation,
Well, show us a photo and.
Yeah, here it is
and
right
she's
here.
asking the board, not you,
oh, sorry,
That's okay.
it's right here.
just to remind everybody. So it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can plant up against that wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that,
You're putting in a tree and.
so under the
There's gonna be a tree
comment,
up against the corner there. so-
okay, so I'd like to add a comment to my motion to provide landscaping to soften the east,
Yeah, that'll be the east side of it.
the east
Yeah.
base of the platform, the
Terrace?
the terrace, yeah. Look for ways of softening the terrace with additional landscaping.
As long as the fire department's all right with,
You could do it with a vine pocket and some creeping
yeah, they don't want
fig
any
or-
planting within 5 feet of the structure, so I hope they don't consider that part of the structure. Yeah. Well, we'll figure out something there.
I trust that you.
There's gonna be planting on the opposite side of the, there's a pathway that proposed there, and it's gonna be all landscape
Okay, so
outside of that.
It's a motion item, so
Okay,
figure it
I will
out.
accept.
We'll figure it
I will
out.
accept that modification to the motion.
And then we're ready for a vote.
Here we go. Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslehi, Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
and Board Member Richards.
Yes.
And the motion passes for continuance. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
So our last item is a discussion item for the single-family streamlining ordinance training.
Sorry, can I put, I'm gonna run and put this on in my car.
Oh, it's a little late for that.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I don't think so, right?
You already got it too.
Car's towed, it's gone.
I thought this only mattered at 5 onwards.
No, I don't think
know
it's a-
what's the meaning of that.
Anyway,
you wanna
actually,
present here,
can we
or-
take a 2-minute recess, and then we'll
Sounds
be
good.
right back?
So here?
Okay.
like to reopen the full board agenda for the Single Family Design Board for May 18th with item number 4, which is the Single Family Streamlining Ordinance Training. There's no project description. Oh, there is staff will present a training on the updated ordinance, including design review triggers, SFDB review, required findings and updated SFDB guidelines adopted by City Council on April 21st and effective May 28th. Go ahead, your name for the record.
All right, thank you, Chair Sherry. I'm Ted Hamilton Roll, Design Review Supervisor, here to provide a training on the upcoming single-family streamlining ordinance that will affect SFDB. And I'm just so happy to say that the time is finally here. We're implementing this project, and I think it should result in a lot of positive changes for this board. So the purpose of today's training is to really orient you towards the things that are changing when it comes to your purview in the meetings. There are lots of other changes going on with the project that I'm not going to get into. There is a project website with all that information. So if you have project or questions from clients or anybody, members of the public, you can look on the website and always feel free to contact me if you want help interpreting the new ordinance. So with that, I'll get started. City Council adopted the ordinance on April 21st, and it'll be effective starting May 28th, T-minus 10 days from now. This coming Wednesday, the 20th at 9 a.m., I'll be hosting a webinar for anybody who's interested to learn more about the changes. Key dates to know are that projects submitted between now and the 28th under the current code standards have until December 17th of this year to get permits issued. So planning applications and building permits submitted before May 28th can use either the new or the old standards, but not both. If using the old, again, the permit has to be issued by December 17th. And all applications and revisions submitted after May 28th will be under the new standards. So what this means for SFDB review here in the Gebhard room is that you'll be seeing a mix of projects using the new and old standards. It's going to be our job as staff to track that and let you know what rules apply and what findings apply to projects on the agenda. So you don't need to worry about that. We'll do the legwork for you. Just pay attention to when we call those out as something being under the new standards. Well, there are lots of changes in the updated ordinance. As I was mentioning, today's training will focus on what's most relevant to the SFDB, which are the consolidated procedures and the updated SFDB triggers. As far as the ordinance goes, all the design review chapters, ABR, HLC, and SFDB, are now in Chapter 30.220 of the Muni Code instead of being spread throughout Title 22. So for those of you working on projects with the city at your own firms, you can now go to this one chapter and see a nice consolidated list of procedures and requirements. This includes the mailed notice triggers, the stages of design review, administrative approval authority, timing of building permits, and references to relevant procedures elsewhere in the code like appeals and environmental review. So it's sort of intended to be a one-stop shop for everything design review in the code. Regarding the timing of building permits, the code now allows applicants to submit building permit applications at risk after receiving project design approval without having to get special approval by the community development director. It's just allowed. Final approval is still required, and the 10-day appeal period must pass before the permit can be issued. And this applies to ABR, HLC, and SFDB. So if you've ever requested one of those at-risk determinations from the director, if your only discretionary action is final approval, you don't have to do that anymore, you can just submit. For mailed notice triggers, and I know this is a lot of text on one slide, but the biggest changes are to additions. Currently, a 500 square foot first story addition requires a mailed notice. We're increasing that threshold to 800 square feet. Similarly, with second story additions, currently it's 150, we're increasing it to 250. This allows staff to administratively approve just a small bedroom addition on an existing second story, something that the code currently doesn't allow. The SFDB's triggers section, which is Chapter 30.220.040, is where you'll see the biggest change from the current Chapter 2269. The current code triggers SFDB review for almost everything except one-story development on flat lots outside special design districts like the Hillside Design District. Whereas the current triggers are based largely on a project's location, the new triggers are based on the scope of work. I'll walk you through how that works. The new SFDB triggers are broken up into two subsections. One is applicability, and the second is exemptions. The applicability subsection indicates generally what is subject to SFDB review, and the exemptions subsection indicates what types of projects do not require SFDB review. So the point is, here's generally what applies for SFDB, and then below that is everything that's exempt. So to determine if a project needs SFDB review, staff will first check the applicability section, and if SFDB does not apply, then the project can go straight to building permit. If SFDB does apply, then staff checks the exemption section, and if the project falls under one or more exemptions, then it can go straight to building permit. And obviously, if it's not exempt, then some level of SFDB review, whether it's administrative consent or full board, applies. This is the applicability section. So when is SFDB required? Single unit residential development. To sum all this up, it's basically SFDB applies to single unit residential construction and additions, landscape, grading, minor zoning exceptions and waivers, and other work noted in the code. This is applicability continued. SFDB is also required for projects under active applications. If your project required SFDB review and you want to revise it, some level of SFDB will continue to apply to that revision while the permit is active. And although rarely an issue, we're clarifying that SFDB review applies to portions of the project on public property if they're associated with a project on private property. For example, parkway landscape alterations as part of an overall update to the whole house. The exemptions include 13 project types listed here with criteria that need to be met for the project to qualify for an exemption. To show you how they work, I'll go through the details of 3 of the most important exemptions in this presentation. We've got minor additions, accessory buildings, and architecturally consistent alterations. Under current code, almost all additions to single-family homes require SFDB review. The new ordinance exempts additions that are 1 story where the total square footage on site is less than 4,000. It's outside the hillside design district or on less than a 20% slope and doesn't require a minor zoning exception or other discretionary SFDB approval. The goal with this trigger was to encourage smaller 1-story development while still requiring SFDB review for second and higher additions and alterations, second and higher story additions and additions to already large buildings, as well as just brand new 2-story houses. This philosophy is largely the same with exemptions for accessory buildings. They need to be 1 story, limited in size, and meet other design and development standards to be exempt. The size limit is 650 square feet in the Hillside Design District and 1,950 square feet outside, which is the current size limit under the zoning code. There are also new exemptions for specific types of alterations with specific criteria for each one. We've got re-roofs, balconies and decks, windows and doors, and site alterations. For alterations that are not described in those specific exemptions, we have this exemption that's shown on screen, which is for architecturally consistent alterations. Think siding changes, roof line alterations, and exterior renovations in general. To sum up what's on this slide, the alterations must either be architecturally consistent with the existing permitted development, or if a new style is proposed, it has to conform to that style as defined in the guidelines, which is essentially, it has to be cohesive and an acceptable version of that style. I have more slides on the exemptions if we have some time for them at the end, but for the sake of time, we'll move on to your updated findings for project design approval. We've updated the name of the neighborhood preservation findings. They're now the neighborhood compatibility findings. This is more in line with ABR and HLC, which have project compatibility findings. And we think it gets to the intent of the SFDB's charge, which is to ensure neighborhood compatibility of homes. We condensed the findings to focus on SFDB's purview and expertise and removed elements about which the board expressed discomfort. I'll run through those now. These are your new neighborhood compatibility findings. They're more concise and they no longer include the health, safety, and welfare finding per SFDB's concerns. Note that they now all fit on 1 slide instead of 3, which is what they currently take. Now, to assist with making motions that address neighborhood compatibility finding C, I'll go back to that really quick and point that out, Good Neighbor Guidelines. The project complies with the Good Neighbor Guidelines regarding privacy, landscape, noise, and lighting. We heard from neighborhood representatives and our appellant focus group as part of the project that they felt that this finding wasn't adequately addressed in the code and, in previous projects. So to assist the board with making motions that address that finding, we have the guidance on this slide that's going to be available at hearings coming up so that you can easily touch on these items as they're pertinent to projects. The hillside finding has been slightly shortened, really not too much change here. We're calling it the hillside and ridgeline design compatibility finding. Same with the grading and vegetation removal findings. What we've done is removed reference to water quality and siltation, which is really, those are elements that SFDB expressed were outside their purview, and we really related it more to the aesthetics. As a reminder, floor area ratio modifications that are currently heard at Planning Commission will now be called FAR design exceptions, and they will be under SFDB and HLC's purview. Appeals of these FAR exceptions from SFDB will still be heard at the Planning Commission. HLC appeals are always heard at Council. And the FAR exception findings, currently Planning Commission has to make these findings, but if you read them, they're really more closely related to aesthetics. So these are going to be the findings that you guys will now make for FAR exceptions. That's all for the code changes. Let's get into the updated guidelines. The guidelines have been completely overhauled. The result is a clearer, more concise document for staff, the board, and the public. And as you can see, the table of contents is much easier to follow than the current version. I should have had a current version compared to this, but basically it's 2 pages instead of, or 3 pages actually instead of, 8. So it's much easier to navigate. The new guidelines include more robust guidance on what types of projects require what level of SFDB review, which will help staff and applicants plan for design review better. So it goes through what's needed, or what types of projects need full board, what types of projects can qualify for consent, and what can be approved administratively. Project design review is SFDB's decision point, and it's appealable. Applicants can now submit straight to building permit after receiving PDA, as I mentioned before. The main change is here at step 3, where we've eliminated the final approval, public hearing, and appeal for SFDB projects. Final approval and review after final are now performed by staff at the building permit phase and are not appealable. However, staff do have the option to refer a final approval to the board if there are outstanding design questions or if there are substantial changes from what was approved at project design approval. And those referred decisions are appealable only by the project applicant. To sum all this up, the SFDB process has been reduced from 2 required public hearings to 1. Project design approval is now SFDB's only discretionary action, and PDA plans will have to include some of the details currently required for final approval, like the color board, materials, and exterior structural details. The idea is really to front-load information so the process can go quicker and try to facilitate better concept reviews for you all and have more robust plans at project design approval. The standard of review for final approval is remaining the same. It's, do the plans substantially conform to project design approval, and are there sufficient and accurate final details? The new process allows staff, as I said, to refer final approval to the SFDB if the board's input is needed to resolve questions. When we do these plan reviews for substantial conformance at final approval, we're going to be looking for matching plans at final approval. If there are changes proposed, we have new substantial conformance criteria to rely on to make sure the project that gets built is what SFDB approved or is substantially similar. In considering substantial conformance to an approved plan, staff will look at these broad considerations, like are the proposed changes outside the scope of the original approval, and would the changes result in a material difference to the public's perception of a project? We'll look at whether the project was controversial as well. And if a project presents issues with these considerations, staff can send it back for a revised project design approval. In addition to those broad considerations, we will consider these specific criteria. And if a revised project doesn't present issues with those broad considerations I just mentioned, then that's when we would consider this list here. If a project doesn't meet one of these 7 criteria, we will send it back for revised project design approval, or have the applicant redesign to match PDA. The goal here is to encourage applicants to follow through on their projects that received approvals at a public hearing and provide objective standards for when post-approval revisions are too inconsistent with the original approval. And again, this is something that our neighborhood representatives advocated for. We also added significant guidance on supplemental visual aids in response to both SFDB and Planning Commission feedback. The goal here was really to set applicants and the board up for better, more constructive concept reviews when early feedback can really help a project sail through the process. We updated the guidelines to clearly identify when visual aids are required, when they can be waived, and by whom. And so this list is just when visual aids are required. You've got a new 2 or more story building, over 85% max FAR, over 100% max FAR, FAR exception, grading, terracing, structures and scenic view corridors, modifications. The one I wanted to mention is if SFDB is having difficulty making findings, you can request a visual aid to help with that. And obviously, if a visual aid is required by another review body like Planning Commission. We also updated the descriptions of the types of visual aids and tried to kind of clarify them and make them more current to what we're seeing in applications. We've got neighborhood context studies, photo sims, perspective drawings, and story polls. And I want to note that story polls are now only required for those FAR design exceptions when someone's exceeding 100% FAR, and projects where other review bodies like Planning Commission require story polls, like Planning Commission for certain coastal development permits. Full level installation is required by default. That's the level that includes your building massing and your roof lines, eaves and hips. As the SFDB may waive or reduce that requirement for FAR conceptions at concept review, or FAR exceptions, excuse me, at concept review, if you think the application has sufficient material to demonstrate the project's size and massing without story poles. So the SFDB can waive these visual aid requirements for full board projects at concept review, and the community development director can waive them for consent or admin review projects. These waivers can be granted only when, again, the project or the application includes sufficient material and the visual aids accurately portray the project. The adopted ordinance and guidelines are on the city website. We will have ongoing design review virtual counter appointments to assist applicants in understanding these new standards. And we're also in the process of hiring a project planner who will act as the point person on this implementation and education effort. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation, and I'll turn it back over to you, Don Cherry.
Thank you. Thanks, Ted. Okay, so we are moving on to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with, of course, public comment, in-person public comment. I do not receive any speaker slips for this particular discussion item, and next we'll move on to virtual comment. And at this time, on checking Zoom, I do not see any attendees or raised hands. So we did not receive also any public correspondence for this discussion item. And with that, I'll return it back to you, Chair Sherry.
All right. You must have done a pretty good job, Ted. No public comment. Okay, questions from the board about the presentation. Board Member Mosley.
Sure. Thank you so much. That's a great improvement. We couldn't wait this to be in effect, so that's happening. Thank you for all your effort and the team. I have a couple of, maybe you already have mentioned them, and maybe I need more explanation. One is about PDA approval, which we won't have the final approval on SFDB currently we have a final checklist. Whoever is doing the submitting for final approval, so there's a checklist for applicants so they can go through it and make sure that they have included everything. Is there a new checklist for PDA that applicant can use, so when they come here, they include what it's needed?
Thank you, Board Member Mosley through the chair. Yes, we will have an updated project design approval submittal checklist for SFDP projects. It'll be on the city website, and it's kind of a pared down version of the current final approval checklist. Basically, it has everything you need for your project plan submittal guide requirements, as well as the basic exterior details, materials, colors, so that what you should be seeing at final or project design approval pretty much is at the level of final approval, but maybe without, the full working construction drawings where you have all the MEP and everything.
Yes. Okay.
But the emphasis is on, we want to see details now at project design approval.
And will that be available May 28th to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you go to just the next slide? I think it was 28. I just wanted to add on to that because I know we were going through these quickly. I just want to read through. So on the last bullet point, it says staff will verify for the scope of final design, final details such as colors, materials, door hardware, but that's just them verifying that they are the exact same as the ones that we reviewed at PDA.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a plan check that we already do.
Since we're tagging on to each other's questions, and I know you have more.
No, it's fine.
I had a question about that staff determination of substantial conformance, and that is, you mentioned that if changes have been made that are not viewed by the public, staff can approve changes between a PDA-approved set of plans and what they submit for final if it's not viewed from the public. So does that mean that if, say, we made a comment about window alignment that was on a property that was just completely screened from view, and does that give an applicant the opportunity to make changes to our PDA-approved motion if the project is completely screened?
Chair Sherry, no. Essentially, we would want the plans to reflect any motions or conditions of approval, any motion language or conditions of approval that the board made.
Okay,
And-
because you mentioned, if you go back to that one slide where that substantial conformance slide, you said, if not seen by the public. It wasn't that particular slide, it was the other one.
Oh, might have been this one.
Whether the changes would noticeably
Oh, I
alter the
see.
public's perception of the project. There's a lot of times when we make comments that we feel are appropriate and that the general public might not be able to see, but I guess what we all want to understand what discretion or what amount of ability does staff have to change the design, for an applicant to change the design and it goes to staff for substantial conformity. Does that make sense?
That's a great question. And so I'll get to that in a sec to kind of touch on this third bullet point. This broad consideration, whether the changes would noticeably alter the public's perception of the project, that's sort of undefined. We like it in there because it gives us some leeway to kind of do, and I'm just talking really informally here, do kind of a smell test on the project. And, if a project comes in with different details, a different, a chimney where there wasn't a chimney before, or something that we think that the public would notice if it, the board approved it one way and then it got to a building permit and looked a different way. That's what we're trying to catch with this and keep it from, going forward and being considered to substantially conform.
Because it might be better if it read whether the changes would noticeably alter the public's or the board's perception of the approved project, of the PDA approved plans. Because
I think the public is really everybody. So if, you know, if we're looking at this and we see that the SFDB made specific comments about, you know, the windows on a project and directed the applicant to have them look a certain way, move them around, whatever, we'll be looking for that in the plan check. And if the applicant changes that, then either we can say, no, you don't substantially conform, or the applicant can redesign to
So there's a
conform.
level of
Yeah.
staff discretion, and we're relying on that staff to be trained to notice
Yeah.
those things.
And this, yeah, that's why we came up with this checklist and those broad considerations. These are objective criteria, and yeah, does not conflict with findings or conditions of approval made by the SFDB or Planning Commission on Appeal.
Okay,
The
it's all right,
intent-
I don't need to dwell on that. I saw that as a potential way for somebody to make a change to the design later. but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that somebody's reviewing.
I will assure you, we thought of that as well and wanted to try to prevent that
Okay.
to the best of our ability and just have applicants follow through on what was approved
Okay,
in the PDA.
perfect. More questions?
I have one more question where you have can you go to that sheet that you have the FAR exception instead of the FAR mod, and there's the findings for it?
Yeah.
My question is like, is the language of the findings changed, or there's no change to that language? Has that changed? Because this
I would
was the
have to-
findings for the planning commission.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's FAR, but it was like kind of, we had that, but because it was not in our purview, we never talked about that. But that's a new thing for us, because there's a lot of project that comes and the FAR is like above the maximum FAR. Like, for example, today we had one, but if you feel like the bulk and scale is appropriate, and some of them have already provided the additional studies and some not, but we don't look at these findings, but I don't know if that is like something that it's new to us and we have to like make sure that we can find this.
Currently, this is a Planning Commission finding, so if someone were getting an FAR mod at Planning Commission tomorrow, the Planning Commission would have to make those findings. I'm pretty sure, I would have to go back and look at the code, but I'm pretty sure we did not change these findings, maybe a couple of, you know, edits to make them more concise here and there, but the intent and the verbiage remains the same as what PC does. So we will be including these on the slides on the PowerPoint in every SFDB meeting, you know, on that template, so that when one of these projects comes up, you'll have these findings to refer to.
And just to tag onto that question, just to clarify, that means that instead of an FAR exceeding 100% going to Planning Commission, it's now going to be something that we can consider
Correct.
with the findings being able to be made.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a number, just any number, 100%? Like, is it similar, then you would consider it almost similar as like a guide, not similar as a guideline, but if we were to find it acceptable, like there isn't some other hard and fast number? Because I know that 85 without an ADU and 100 with an ADU is always like,
This is projects that would exceed 100%. This is
Only,
where
yeah.
we're now being able to make the with being able to make the finding,
there's no
we're
new,
allowed to.
there's no new percentage though?
Nope.
There's no guardrails on that?
Correct.
Okay.
We didn't change anything about the FAR calculation. Really, the only thing we changed was the review authority from the Planning Commission to the SFDB.
Got it.
Because it's more of an aesthetic consideration.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
No more questions now.
Go ahead.
Sorry, did you touch on consent at all? Sorry, I can't remember. Has consent changed at all?
Consent has not changed, or consent won't change much in terms of the process as part of this project. We don't know for sure how this project is going to affect the number and the volume of consent applications. We anticipate it might decrease them a little bit. We may see slightly larger projects on consent, like larger additions, maybe than the board's used to currently. just because of what's now allowed by the code and what staff can administratively approve. And in the guidelines, there's now clear guidance to applicants and the public on what types of projects are eligible for consent. But other than that, we didn't change any other process for consent.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we just got a phone call from City TV. Just a reminder to make sure your microphones are on and that we're speaking close to them.
Oops.
That's all good. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions, Board Member Rolfe?
Just a clarification, so we're able to review projects where an applicant wants more than 100% FAR, is that what you're saying? SFDB can?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah. That's, it's currently what's called an FAR modification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
No questions.
Yes.
Yes.
You. Okay. So going back to I have kind of my questions in sequence from the presentation just at the very beginning. So I know December 17th, 2026, last day to issue a permit if somebody would want to follow the old standards. Given that the permitting time can take varied amounts of time, or like how does one think about when they would get a project reviewed by us, let's say now? I know with plans and construction documents, it can go back and forth for a while. So, but the permit needs to be issued by December 17th. So how does that?
Thank you. Yes, Board Member Graffiti. I appreciate that clarification. The way I said it, I think it makes it sound like that if you don't get your permit issued, you're done, your project's invalid. But that's not the case. It's just a new set of rules applies, and any plan checks done at that point will be under this new set of rules, which is less restrictive than the current. So we
Okay.
don't anticipate it affecting people negatively most of the time. There may be a few plan check corrections, like, hey, your allowed fence height is different under the new code than it was before, right? But
Okay.
we hope that this results in an easier process for
Okay,
folks.
great. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. And then going on, I have FAR bolded, but we just covered that. So there was one point, if a project's deemed controversial, I'm assuming that means either our board was split or there was a lot of public comment against, but do you have any sort of definition or thoughts around what you would call a controversial project?
Another good question. I don't think we have we didn't have an objective kind of definition for what we think a controversial project is, but our understanding as staff is if there's significant public interest that's split, or that is, if there's significant public interest, right? And, or if the board's split, those are kind of the two main things. Really, it's more of a, when you see it kind of thing.
Okay.
To kind of judge that. And those broad considerations for the substantial conformance criteria guidance are all, again, they're broad and they're meant to be a little bit, they're meant to be guidance rather than a prescription.
Okay, great. And then the only other one I was thinking of was you had mentioned last time I think we met and we covered a lot of this, and I don't know what was included or separate, but there's new changes to like a workspace or uncovered parking rules, or there's other kind of changes. Is that part of everything we're covering today that I could go find out on the website, or is that under? Okay, great.
Yes, there are a whole lot more changes that are really awesome happening in the zoning ordinance. I didn't go over them today because I wanted to really focus in on what's going to be relevant to you up here at the table. Now, yeah, you can see all the changes on the website. You can read through the ordinance. I also want to plug on Wednesday, I'm doing a public webinar at 9 a.m. Anybody can attend. I've fired off the email to everyone I can think of. There's a land development team bulletin. So if you're curious about those zoning changes, that's a really good touch point and a good chance to attend.
Okay,
When
great.
is that?
Wednesday at 9 a.m.
And then can you just really quickly pull up our new motion that we would be making for PDA? I know that we removed portion of public health, safety, and wellness.
Thank goodness.
Okay, great. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure. That's all my questions. Very excited
Now
for
that you have
this.
this up, I just had a question about that. I've always wondered this. Why, there was one about the hillside or ridge line. I've always just wondered, what's the real difference between the hillside or the ridge line? Because if there's a ridge line, it's kind of implied that there's a hillside. And I mean, I'm not going to complain because I'm super happy that this got a lot more streamlined. So I wasn't going to say anything at all. But I was just wondering why both of those words have to be in there.
The ridgeline was an important consideration because while there are few properties that are actually on ridgelines, they're really prominent to the general population down below, right? So what this gets at is one of the original kind of tenets of SFDB, which is we want to protect the hillside and ridgeline views, and we don't want big towers right on top of the hillside that jut out and are really exposed and prominent.
Or the ridge line.
Well, hillside, so I think in this definition, the hillside is what's on the face of the hill, the ridge line is what's on top. And there's actually going to be a new GIS layer in the city's map system coming out that shows where the ridge lines are. And we'll be applying that to projects as, being close to or in proximity to a ridge line.
Okay.
Kind of as an objective standard.
More questions? No. Is there still going to be a SFDB trigger worksheet on the city's website? Because that was really helpful.
Yes, we'll have to update that. A whole host of handouts is coming. I will note that the city, like all public agencies, is under the new federal mandate to have all documents be accessible on websites. So we're kind of in a holding pattern of creating new handouts. There are certain things, though, like the project design approval checklist, design review triggers checklist that we'll need to get out sooner than later. So we'll get those out.
Because since there's so many changes to the rules on whether a project goes to SFDB at all, I think it's all the more important to change right away the triggers as soon as you can, because everybody's going to go to that first. And just to clarify, I wanted you to confirm that when you say that a project could potentially be reviewed in one hearing, does that mean that you wouldn't want to go to PDA, if you wanted only one hearing, you wouldn't want to go to PDA if you would want to check with your planner or your planning submittal to see if environmental review had been completed, so that you wouldn't get that agenda statement that says, no appealable action can be taken at this meeting because environmental review is still in progress? Or like, how would you know as an applicant if you wanted to avoid the comments only, you wanted to go straight to PDA, would that be something that your planner would tell you that if you don't have, they wouldn't even agendize you unless you had met everything and you were ready to go? They would say, yeah, we haven't checked some of the environmental review status, and therefore you can still go to the hearing, but you're not going to get PDA in this hearing. Or you can choose to satisfy all of the requirements and wait to get agendized until you have all of that information. Does that sound right?
Chair Sherry, that's a good point. And I believe our planning application currently has concept review as optional. I would need to double check that, but
I actually have a question. Sorry to interject, but I always thought from experience, if you're getting a coastal development permit, you have to come to SFDB to get comments to then go to Planning Commission.
Yeah, that's a different issue. Those projects that require like mods.
So those would
still
So
need.
it's not optional then? It's only optional for some projects?
The projects that need mods need comments first, and then the PDA after. So those projects would not be subject to only one hearing.
That's correct. They would be, this really applies to a design review project only, this slide here with, the single discretionary review. So if a project is only triggering SFDB review, it doesn't have a mod or a CDP associated with it, then you could theoretically do everything in that project design approval hearing without going to a concept review. That said, we always encourage concept review because we think it results in the best outcomes,
Okay.
especially for full board. For consent, it's less of an issue. You know, we try to get people through in one hearing if we can, but for
Okay.
full board new houses, yeah.
Okay, any more questions? All right, thank you, Ted.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And that concludes the full board meeting for the Single Family Design Board for today. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.